One of the things we found with the architects is they like to use the window as their showcase piece on the outside of a house. They'll design very complex geometric shapes, and with our engineering team, we work with them to come up with the design that we can manufacture, and we manufacture those very complex shapes. Beautiful houses. Then they use the window to accent that design. We're at our station where we cut the glass, where we make our insulated glass units. In this particular station, it's computer controlled, very precise. It will cut any type of configuration you want for the glass. Where we are now is in the glass washing station. Every unit that we manufacture goes through the washing station. It's washed top and bottom to make sure that we have clean surfaces before we assemble the insulated units. Once the glass gets through the cleaning station, it goes automatically over into the sealer station. Over here, what he's doing is applying what we call super spacer. The super spacer creates a warm edge between the two insulated units. The super spacer rejects heat or cold, so it stops that from transferring through the insulated units. Once they're done with the super spacer, they bring it over here where the IG's units are assembled together, whether it be a double pane or a triple pane. He slides them down into the pressure station. What the pressure station does, puts enough pressure on it so that the super spacer adheres to both sides and creates that primary seal for the glass. So what he'll do now is he's going to inject argon in between the two units of glass. And what the argon does is gives us that insulation factor between the two panes. Argon's about 5 times heavier than air. You can look at argon like insulation going in your walls. If you don't put the fiberglass insulation in, you don't have that gap fill and you're letting cold or heat get in. That's just basically the same thing we're doing here with the argon. We're creating an insulation layer. So once the argon gas is injected into the primary seal, it comes over into the secondary seal station, which is butyl. It's a hot melt material that sets another stage of seal against the surface of the glass to stop the air from encroaching in between the layers. Now we're at the starting point of what we call the fenestration for the window, or the framework for the window, which is our vinyl cutting station. Everything is computer designed, and what comes down on the floor, and what this gentleman does is he sets the saw up to cut each one of the pieces of fenestration to go around the window. What's unique about our frame is it's a proprietary frame. We actually own this design. What we did with this frame, we thickened the walls to give it more rigidity and also give it a higher level of insulation factor. Beyond that, we use a product that's UPVC, which is unplasticized, which makes it so they call it a green material. It doesn't blossom anything to the surface. It goes into the atmosphere. So what's happening here is what Dustin is doing is assembling the corners of the window. And the way we do that is we have a hot blade come down. The hot blade heats up both sides of both surfaces, and then it pushes the two surfaces together and holds them tight while the PVC is cooling. And what happens is that makes it so that the unit is one solid unit. Once it's sealed together, there's no encroachment coming through there. It's a solid seam. Okay, so now after the welding's done, we move into our corner cleaning station. Cleans all of that extra flash that I showed you where it melted out, cleans the edge up, makes it all smooth. The next step in the process is we're adding the seal to the surface of the window. So when it comes together, it has a seal to keep the wind out, keep the air out, keep the cold out, and keep the warm in. Our windows have a double seal surface. You have a lower seal and an upper seal. So once he's done with the seal, then he assembles the hardware for opening and closing the casements or the awning, whatever style window it happens to be. The other piece that he's adding now, it's called a snubber. And what that does is when the window closes in the back, it pulls the two pieces together to make sure that it closes and there's no gap in the back of the window. And what we use on our windows are 3 slide lock tabs. A lot of applications only use 2 slide locks. We use the 3 to make sure that we get that that whole section of the window pulled in straight against the gasket, and we get a good solid seal against the gasket all the way the full length. He's putting the set blocks in, and what these are doing is he's tapping these in and they're pushing right down against the window, so now you have this rubber seal. It's going to go all the way around. What Curtis is doing, again, putting a wet seal in, putting the silicone in specific locations where we put it. It's a bonding as well as a sealing. It is stainless steel material, so it doesn't rust. The other thing is, with our windows, it's warranted for life. After it's finished with final assembly, it goes into the quality checkpoint. And what they do here is they double check the glass, make sure the glass is clean, make sure all the seals are in place, make sure all of the hardware works, there's no functioning issues with the product, and it's labeled product properly, and then they load it on the truck and ship it to the customer.